So here we are, Richard and Judy were husband and wife team that presented this programme. There's Ruth and myself, who are married, and Alison and Stephen used to do it for many years here on This Morning when Richard and Judy weren't around. Last year, though, Alison's life changed forever.
Yeah, following a routine checkup, she discovered a lump in one of Alison's breasts, and the last 18 months have been a hell, really, of seeing her with a double mastectomy, chemotherapy and radiotherapy. As Eamonn said, so lucky that Alison is here to tell us about that, and also to advise other people, women, about checking their breasts. So important. Dr. Chris Steele with us as well. We're going to talk about the checking, Chris, in just a moment. It's so lovely to see you.
It's lovely to be here. Thank you for having me.
I'm sure you sat on this sofa many times and interviewed women about breast cancer, never thinking that one day that would be you.
You never think it will be.
And the one thing that always strikes me when we do talk to people about it is that awful moment when you get that diagnosis. Can you remember what happened?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, some people say they don't, really, and a family member had to tell them. Other people, it's like time stands still.
Yeah, it was one of the things you hang on to the last minute, always believing that the actual diagnosis will be fine, and until the words are said, you know, we're very sorry, it's bad news, and you have breast cancer, and then it's a stillness almost, and then you feel your world tilt just slightly, and things will never be quite the same again.
No, they won't, and so much ahead of you. But going back before that diagnosis, you said you'd always had kind of lumpy breasts. So at first you weren't that worried.
Yes, definitely. I mean, for years and years, you know, used to go in and have checkups, and always I dodged it. There was never anything wrong. And this final time, I'd had the lump for about, well, it was a lumpy ridge for around about a year. And I went in the summer to have it checked out and was told it was fine, had an ultrasound and a mammogram and was told it was fine. And they said, come back again in 6 months if it's still there, and it was. So I did.
And even then you thought?
Even then, I thought it was nothing, and I thought it would go away, but my breasts had got larger as well on that side, and the ridgy element was still there, so this time they did give me a biopsy.
And you thought it was nothing, but they obviously thought it was nothing as well.
They did. They genuinely thought it was nothing. In fact, the consultant said to me, I'll take your number, but I'm sure I won't need to call you. And he rang me at 7:30 in the morning and said to me, we found abnormal cells. And then I was sent along for a lumpectomy, and from there, it was a long wait then. It was about 5 days, longest days. And then you know when you're asked to go in, rather than them giving you information on the phone that something isn't quite right. And
awful news, and not just for you but for the whole family, because it affects, and we often forget about the family. And your partner now, because you and Stephen divorced, but your partner now, Colin, how did he take that, and what sort of support has he been?
He's been amazing. I mean, he has been very, very strong, and the children have as well. I mean, that's one of the hardest things. It is the ripple effect with this disease. It isn't just you who lives with it, it's everybody else, and every time you have an ache or a pain or a cough or something else, everyone's immediately concerned. And I mean, I've been so well looked after and loved by so many of my friends and my family as well. I consider myself extraordinarily lucky, but for the kids it was hard. I remember going back and telling them, you know, face is the colour of putty, you know, and they sit there, and, you know, it's this thing about you're thinking yourself as well. It's trying to think ahead. I've always looked a long way ahead in my life, and now suddenly, you know, places to go, people to see, a life to live. And
a life to live, but no matter how old you are, it doesn't matter if you're 70, 80, you're still too young for this to take you. I mean, you're in your very early 50s, and did you feel, I mean, I can understand you feeling shocked and feeling sad. Did you feel angry as well?
No.
No?
Never angry. Just sad. I think that was it, and I think the thought of the surgery was quite horrifying to me. And that, again, it's like everything that hasn't been as bad. Funny enough, harder with the second mastectomy. The first time I thought, you know, I'd have this done, and I got used to it. I did get used to it. But the second time, it's been harder because there's absolutely no feeling, no sensation whatsoever, and I don't look the same as I looked before. Ground when I'm covered, and at the end of the day, you know, it is what it is.
And why is there no feeling or sensation? Is that because every nerve ending has been taken away?
There's nothing, no nipples, nothing, so it's all just taken away from inside, and now I have implants in there, but all that said, I'm still here, so that's the big thing for
Chris,
me.
When Alison said, when she was talking about the testing that was being done, is there a definitive test that you can just move straight to if you have any doubts, or is it just, you know, what the technicians see in the test that they've taken?
Well, you know, the fact is, if a woman finds a lump in her breast, 90% of breast lumps are not cancer. So therefore, you know, when a lump is detected, you don't rush in and do a biopsy or take the lump out, you know. But, you know, the right thing is, okay, the doctor examines it, he assesses whether he thinks it's serious or not, then okay, ultrasound, mammogram. You've done all the investigations then, and yes, they left you for 6 months, but of course when you went back it was larger, wasn't it?
Oh, yes,
your breast had changed.
And it wasn't, I mean, it wasn't visible even, MRI, mammogram or an ultrasound. It wasn't until they actually did the biopsy and they were looking at the tissue there. No.
But then didn't they find 2 lumps and then found a third?
Yes, they found another tumour in the breast and they took it away that wasn't even visible even on the MRI.
Yeah.
So it's a devious one.
Yeah.
Really.
Okay, what about the road? What about the checklist that everybody should be aware of?
Well, I've got a list of symptoms, you know, what to look out for. So if we can bring those up. Now, breast, so what did you, a lump or thickening in the breast? Okay, most women check for a lump. A change in the size or shape, which you got, Alison.
Yeah.
Now, dimpling or puckering of the skin, very important. And we'll show to examine the breast shortly, where the dimpling or puckering you notice by lifting your arms up or leaning forward so the breasts hang down. A lump in the armpit could be a gland that's swollen. And the second list of for symptoms should be coming up: a rash on the nipple, dry flaky skin on the nipple, a discharge from the nipple, which may be bloodstained, maybe not, and inturning of the nipple, inversion of the nipple.
And Chris, this would equally apply to men,
yeah,
I presume, most of these.
Yes, I mean, men do get breast cancer, but of course, you know, it's rare compared to the incidence in women. And also, the final point was pain related to periods. What I want to draw women's attention to is, yes, you know, everyone's feeling for lumps, and we'll show how to find those lumps, but don't forget dimpling or puckering of your skin, and don't forget the nipple, right? Discharge, scaly skin, or inverting of the nipple. Now, some women's nipples are inverted anyhow, but if your nipples are being normally protruding and one's going in, that could be breast cancer.
Well, you say, Alison, yours was like a puckering,
Yes,
ridging
it was a
skin.
ridging, a distinct ridging about the size of, about that sort of length, and in fact there were 3 tumours there too, which were cancers.
We were sitting talking about this in interview, and I'm sure you did this exact same interview.
Well, I did. It was very strange because, in fact, through QVC, where I work now, we represent, you know, breast cancer care as a charity, and we every year go along to their fashion show that they set up, and I'd interviewed the women and talked to them about all these things, how it felt to lose their hair, how it felt to actually struggle with the symptoms of chemotherapy, you know, and what it felt like to actually be up there.
And you're going to be up there.
I'm going to be doing this. I cannot believe it.
Can I say, I
I
hosted one of the
You were
shows
there last year, weren't you?
and it is one of the most poignant, but one of the most uplifting things I have ever been to. I absolutely loved every second, and to see those women and 2 men up there through all the things, so many of them been through, some still with cancer, some with terminal cancer, and other people like yourself who've come through the treatments. It was amazing. So I'm sure you'll have a wonderful time. I'm sure you're nervous.
It is going to be absolutely magnificent. I know it will be.
But we've got to show the examination, the self-examination, and you're going to talk us through this? Or
okay, yeah. Yeah, no, this is an examination we did a while ago. Let's have a look. The first thing to do is to look at the breast to see if there's any difference. Lifting your arms up, you're looking for any skin puckering or dimpling. Leaning forward, is there any skin puckering or dimpling or difference between one breast and the other? And then you start feeling it with the pads of your fingers, starting at the nipple and working out in increasing circles, being very methodical about how you feel the breast tissue. And then when you felt the whole breast, you then move the fingers up into the armpits, feeling for any lumps or swellings in the armpits, and then you finish the examination by feeling in the base of your neck, again feeling for any lumps or swellings. And then finally you finish off by squeezing the nipple. Is there any discharge from the nipple, any scaly skin on the nipple, or has the nipple become indrawn? And then you do the same on the other side.
Just talking to Alison there, saying, did you used to check your breasts?
Regularly, yes, I did do, and there were the lumpy bits. I mean, that's the thing is, I mean, you know, talking to you today, I mean, that is the whole point. As you said to me, for me, when I was diagnosed, I mean, that was, you know, January last year. Today, somebody else will get that news. Tomorrow, somebody else the same. And the day after that, it's devastating, and so, you know,
and what would
you have to be so careful.
What would you say to the women that are going to get that news now, sitting here in hindsight, you know, 18 months on?
Yeah.
What would you say if somebody gets that diagnosis today?
You will be fine. You have to trust and believe and stay positive and keep looking forwards. That's the best way to do it.
we have got advice or support, any details that you may need regarding breast cancer, details of organisations who can help you, itv.com/this morning. You can also find details of Breast Cancer Cares London fashion show that Alison and Ruth were talking about on that website as well.
And have a fantastic time on that.
Thank you very much indeed.
And Happier Matters, what does it feel like being back in the... I know it's not the same.
lovely.
You were in
It's
Liverpool,
lovely.
isn't that where you did it?
And 2 years here as
And 2
well.
years here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Probably the
best
same
of
sofa.
times. It probably is the same
Just
sofa, actually. In
recovered.
fact, I think I let some gum on it.
It's like old times, isn't it?
It's great. No, some of the best times of my life.
Indeed.
Best of times
And me,
here.
I always remember I really enjoyed watching you when I was off school.
Yeah.
And it was wonderful, you know, because you were often sick and whatever, and I just
free.
watched you and Stephen there. It was
You
lovely.
never lose it,
really got
Eamonn.
through. Lovely seeing
Thanks very much. Lovely
Thank
to
you
see
very
you too.
much
Thank
indeed.
you.
And we'll see you after the break while Alison kicks him very hard.
Ow!